Pay your people better. May 21st, 2026. Come on. Get in there. It's always it's always some effort. My internet's finally up, so I'm gonna upload the other video that I didn't upload yet. I used to think that cast iron was going to be a huge pain in the ass. It's not a huge pain in the ass. It's a mild pain in the ass. So what I do with this specific cast iron, because it's a Dutch oven kind of situation where like there's a skillet for an opposite, but I never use the skillet because it's just a little too shallow. So go ahead and turn that vent off now because I don't really need to keep this on either. I season my cast iron the way that Adam Ragusa, who coincidentally I just finished watching one of his videos, had showcased a way you can season your cast iron, and it's very, very efficient for me. It's the lazy man's way. So I'm gonna just kind of point you down there, but like that thing's hot as fuck. I'm not gonna touch it for a while, right? And the reason why it's hot as fuck is because I turned up, like I cleaned it, I washed it out in the sink because my sink, is nice and not full because I had AT&T finally come in and just recently finish up in here. And because, having company over makes me, my ADHD kick in and I can actually clean for a change and essentially overcome my depression. It's kind of like, what is it? I don't know if there's like a meme for it or something, but it's like you take the one thing and it does this, but then you take two, it's like, a downer or an upper or whatever. I don't fucking know. But, I have those naturally. And certain circumstances create a more focused, capable version of myself. And so when I know I have company coming over, especially if they're only going to be here briefly, I'm definitely cleaning up quite a bit. If I know that they're like a friend or whatever and they see me on a regular basis, I ain't cleaning up for them. Fuck them. But the trick, and it's not really a trick, it's just simple. Wash the motherfucker out, put it on the stove. I put it on the one of the larger burners, so it's more surface area to heat this bad boy up. Turn it up to max, turn on the vent hood, let it dry out, and then when it's dry, take some paper towel, put a bunch of neutral oil on it, and I have canola oil. I think it's canola oil, let me check. All-purpose vegetable oil, which has soybean oil in it. So this one's specifically soybean. I've had canola oil in the past, but use a neutral oil of some kind. You don't want to use olive oil. That's just kind of a waste of olive oil because you're burning this shit off. You're turning it into a polymer. You're turning it into a plastic. And then let it fucking smoke until it's basically done smoking. And then turn off the heat and just let it sit there for a while. And you're good to go. No big deal. And it also works with my sort of like broken-minded methodology, which is, that's not supposed to be there, which is like, I usually clean it before I use it. That's usually how I work. That's usually how I function. I'm trying, but also having a very difficult time attempting to clean as I go. It's just that usually what happens is I can't think, in the proper like order of operations, because usually I'm making something that's either going to be a later thing, like I'm going to consume it later in the day or later in the week or whatever, and I plug in my computer. Or I'm going to consume it now, and like usually when I need to consume it now, washing stuff right now doesn't fit in the order. It just doesn't work. My brain doesn't, I don't know how to make that work. I'm trying to think it out when I can, but it's very difficult. Because, then I'll have to, and then part of it is, I've cleaned up X amount of stuff and it's still drying off or whatever. And, then trying to remember to put stuff away. I was able to put the handle on one of these bad boys. So that's going to make that more useful. So I made, I've stocked up a little bit on some puddings. Put them in multiple places for some reason. But I'm like, you know what? Milk, I like milk. My body is apparently starting to process it better. But I'm like, I got 2 pistachio jellos. I got a banana pudding because I just finished that one up this morning. The package, it says, per serving as packaged is 90. All right. There's 4 servings per package. That's 360. Plus, I think it's roughly 500-ish calories, maybe more, from the milk. Because I'm using whole milk. Put these back over here. Speaking of being lazy and making food, I think I'll do just that. And I'll make some hot links. Because I have pizza dough sitting out waiting to thaw. It'll be a bit before that's ready. And so it'll be a bit before I decide to eat some pizza. And I don't really care if I overproof that one. Doesn't really matter to me. I don't mind because it becomes more like a cracker, I guess. But because I don't want to, because if I split the pizza dough, so part of the issue with this cast iron and the pizza dough recipe that I have is that if it's too cold, I can't really spread it out enough, obviously. But then when I am able to spread it out, and it's not cold or anything, it's also a little bit it's rather elastic to the point of breaking. So I've had to finagle the recipe is what it is at this point, and it's either going to overproof or underproof, or maybe be perfectly proofed, whatever. But I'm gonna prep these hot dogs, these hot links rather, because I don't do hot dogs when I can avoid it. So the dough ends up being rather poofy. It has quite a lot of volume to it, which makes it a little bulky. And so, there's a lot to it. It's a bit of a meal when I eat my pizza. It's a personal pizza. There's a lot to it. And so because of that, I generally don't eat anything else after the fact. And I also try to prep beforehand, kind of get myself a little hungry, but I've been a little hungry all day because I haven't been doing anything. And I've been sleeping next to this fucker, which is full of onions. I got 3 big onions at the store yesterday. And I've been putting it on slow cook because I'm I know that, yes, you can sort of pre-cook the onions in the pressure cooker and then sort of take them off the heat, so to speak, and then move them over however you want to do it, and then cook them properly. And I'm all right, I just want to slow cook and see how well this works. And so it's been almost 12 hours. Actually, it's been longer than that. I think I started around 10 p.m. last night, maybe a little later. And it's currently 1:38 p.m. the next day, of course. So, but this is just a test to see. This is a test of the emergency broadcast. And so I just want to see how well I can cook these onions, because I only have I only have 2 cups of buttermilk left now. But I ended up buying 2 of these, and it has 2 packages in it. I figured it did, but I didn't see anywhere in this fucker, because it says about 8 servings per container, and then it has serving size, but like, I didn't see anywhere. See, it's really tiny. I didn't see this. It says 2 envelope carton. Otherwise, I would have only bought 1. But because I like to try new things anyway, and you know, it's like I had already been thinking about the possibility of doing some caramelized onions anyway, which, by the way, go great on pizza. Go great on pretty much anything. Anything savory, of course. But I need to take care of that angel hair next time I do pasta, which will be relatively soon because I've still got some pizza sauce left. Or not pizza sauce, because I got pizza sauce, and then I also have the pasta sauce. I have the marinara. So yeah, I am going to, I'm going to use these onions, and then I'm going to maybe make some like extended sort of onion soup, onion dip thing. I don't know. I don't really have any containers that I can think of. I mean, I kind of sort of do, because I have, let's see, how many up here that I can really use? I can just pull this bad boy out. But I've got containers like this that I could maybe put some onion soup in it, and then, stick that onto one of my baking trays that I've got. Because I've got, let's put that in there. Okay. So I've got these quarter sheet pans that I can put it on, and then cover it with the cheese after all the other stuff has been cooked, and just kind of create this version of French onion soup. It's a thought. I don't know what I'm gonna actually do with these bastards when I'm done with them. They're not even done. The last I checked was about a half an hour ago, maybe about 10 minutes before I started this video, just to see where they were at in their. It's like they've all darkened in color, because I got a yellow onion, a red onion, and a white onion. I wanted to just have all 3 because fuck it, why not? Oops, my broom fell. So yeah, it's like I'm working through this, trying to figure this shit out. I was talking to my therapist yesterday. I had to do just a basic phone call. I would have preferred to do it on the computer because it's just easier, generally. But I couldn't really do anything without the internet. And the next available option when I checked, because I wasn't sure if my internet was still going to be completely fucking down, or if it was gonna, maybe crop back up. Who knows? So I gave myself a little bit on the hope, a little hopium, so to speak. And then I waited until the next day, yesterday afternoon when I woke up around noon, and then I was like, okay, I still don't have any internet, so we're just gonna go ahead and get the order checked and everything. And since it's not on my end, I don't have to pay for it. It's not my fault. I didn't damage anything or anything like that. So it was the same dude who came in here and set me up in the first place too, which is cool. So that was nice. It's not like we chatted or anything. We, mostly just talked what needed to be done, and then he got to work, and there was a couple of logistical things that are associated with the building that was not a thing before when he came back here. So, I had to go downstairs to the property management, and they were in a fucking meeting, and it's just y'all need to have somebody available. It's like, can't just be, because like, we don't even, the thing is like, we don't even know they're in a meeting. Like, the only reason I knew they were in a meeting is because when we were able to get past the first door, which we normally don't have access to unless they come out and let us in, the second door, which is where we do all the business stuff, that was the one that said in a meeting. And it's like, y'all need to be communicative. Now, could I have called them up and said, hey, I'm getting AT&T to come up here, but I don't know when they're going to come because it's a 4-hour window between noon and 4? I don't know. And I'm not going to fucking go anywhere. I want my internet back. You know, I want to play my games. I want to download movies. You know, I have watched like 5 movies in the last 2 days. Or maybe it was 4. What did I watch yesterday? So I know I watched The Mist yesterday. Let me see if I can figure something out here. So let's see, I watched Psycho for the first time ever. Fantastic film. Much more, like, I can see there could be a better way to do certain things, but there is a reason it's a classic. Because despite some of its actual, like, flaws in structure, it's still really well done. It's like the music, the score, the shot composition, stuff like that. Those are all fantastic. Some of the motivations, like let's not use motivations. Like, let's use the words that I learned in my acting classes. The objectives of the characters, they were established early, but you don't really see them coming to these conclusions that they make the way that perhaps you should see them. They just kind of happen. And I understand, like, the nature of it does have a bit of abruptness to it, but, like, to the audience, it doesn't need to be that abrupt. And then, you know, like, there's aspects of the movie that I started kind of picking apart and like, okay, second guessing this thought process, and it's like, maybe all of this setup is a red herring. Because, of course, it's such a classic. It's been referenced so many times. And I've seen the moment. But then, like, that moment's like a third of the way through the film. And then I'm like, wait, what the hell is happening after this point? And so, like, the setup is there. Again, it's a 60s. It's a 1960 film. You know, while Hitchcock was great at what he did, there's still room for improvement. And so I'm just like, all right, well, I mean, it's still like an 8 out of 10 film. I saved it as a potential future watch. You know, like, there's some movies that I'll do that, where I've got them categorized as, like, I've got 3 basic categories. I've got need to watch, I've got basically the funny stuff that I know I want to rewatch, and then, like, the serious stuff that I know I want to rewatch. So, like, Shawshank Redemption, for instance, phenomenal movie, extremely well done, easily a solid 9.5, if not a 10. Like, it's been a while since I've seen it, but, like, everything that happens, from what I remember, and it hasn't been more than, like, maybe 10 years since I've seen it, which admittedly is roughly a quarter of my life, so so maybe it's time to rewatch it at some point. But, like, generally speaking, like, you feel like you are part of the story, and that you're not, while you are an observer, you don't feel like an observer to it. And that's one of the great things about the Shawshank Redemption. I think it's a Spielberg film too, so. Oh, well, I'm a hot dog. Tapatio. I got a giant bottle of it in there in the fridge. Come on, hot dog. Something that has always been an issue for me because I get a little too overzealous with my food. When I was younger, I was about 8 or 9. I was living at my grandmother's house at the time, and I was chowing down on some sausage. And like generally speaking, sausage is not something I enjoy. It never really has been. Like even a good bratwurst is not something I truly enjoy. It may have something to do with some of the seasonings. I know that sage is often a sausage seasoning, and I don't like sage. I don't like the way it smells. I don't like the way it tastes. It's very common in breakfast sausages, like Jimmy Dean especially. But when I was younger, I had taken too big of a bite, and it got stuck in my esophagus, and I was freaking out. And that still happens to this day. I mean, I'll take a bite out of a hard-boiled egg and just not chew enough. I know it's a stupid issue, but I'm not like... So it is going down the right path, the right pipe. It's just like in combination with like the dryness of the bun and the bulk of the hot dog, in this case, Hot Link. It ends up causing a blockage. Which, interestingly, often will cause me hiccups. And it makes me wonder if that's one of the reasons why we have hiccups. Do we hiccup to help maneuver food that might be stuck? Is that potentially an evolutionary survival mechanism? Because it often will... Got a nice hit of that hot sauce in the back of the throat. When I do end up getting those hiccups during that, it does kind of feel like it's sort of trying to pull it down. It's just a guess. I have no clue. But hey, who knows? Maybe my guess is right. I don't know. So yeah, Psycho, great film. 8 out of 10. I saw Sunshine again for the first time. Or not for the first time. I'd seen it before. Not a bad film. Good, well paced. Some of the actions of the characters feel a little like I get the fact that they're on this ship for like 7 years, and like they, you know, with what is it? Chris Evans' character, you know, he's all aggro and shit. You know, he's trying to make it out to be, you know, the time and space and blah, blah, blah. And I know that in a way they're trying to set up the, you know, the incoming conflicts and the necessity of various, you know, like actions that are needed that, you know, because like the characters have to make certain types of sacrifices throughout the films. They have to make certain judgment calls. It's a little disjointed when it comes to some of the conflict. But overall, not a bad film. About a 7. and it's an interesting film, and it has some like Event Horizon cosmic horror-esque moments to it, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to rewatch it. Fuck, what else did I rewatch? Hold on, let me see. So I swear I watched like 3 movies one night. Here's the problem. I know one of them I watched, and I got rid of it. I deleted it. And it wasn't Psycho, and it wasn't Sunshine. I just don't remember what the fucking film was. I know I got rid of The Mist, so I watched The Mist last night. The Mist was a bit of a disappointment. It's not a bad movie. And like, it's based on a Stephen King novel, of course, novella. And again, like, some elements of the characters and the conflicts that are involved are, like, there's a bit of the whole, well, we're here, let's tell you about these other people that are in the building. And, but like, the fact that certain events happen and other people straight up just don't believe them to the point of absurdity is in of itself a little too absurd. Like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, there doesn't feel like those reactions are the reactions. Like, even the beginning of the film feels weird and disjointed. The composition and everything is just fine, but I swear I saw 3 movies in one night. I just don't remember what the fucking third one was. Because like, I saw Psycho, and I'm pretty sure I saw a second film that I was like, whatever. And then I went and watched Sunshine. Maybe I mentioned it, I don't know. Hold on. Nope. Trying to think, and I cannot figure out what it is. I know I rewatched the Lady Gaga halftime show. I don't know. Maybe that's what the third one was. I really enjoyed the halftime show. No, whatever. But, yeah, something is bothering me. It just feels like I'm missing something. Whatever. I'm also watching a reasonable amount of YouTube. As one does. You know, crashing out and stuff like that. But But yeah, The Mist was a bit of a disappointment. Again, not a terrible film. Like a 7 out of 10. Or more like a 6. More like a 6 out of 10. Like, a 5 for me is... I have no real... Like, it's not a bad film, but it's also not like it's not memorably bad or memorably good. Which is why a number of films I can't think of are 5s. You know, and they may be like, okay, so, and then of course tastes change. You know, I'm sure 20 plus years ago, the American Pie series was like a 9 on my list. Because, you know, all the weird gross out humor and Revenge of the Nerds-esque approaches to things. But now I'm just like, Ron Burgundy, same kind of thing. And so, you know, there's certain films that they themselves may not necessarily be the greatest type of film, even in their genre. They may not even be like that good. Okay, you know, a movie that actually probably hits the 5 is The Cell, with Jennifer Lopez and Vince Vaughn and Vincent D'Onofrio. And I used to rewatch that movie all the time. But it was because it was a weird freak-out film. And now I'm like, it's just a weird detective film. And it's like, it doesn't seem all that great. The Ring, same thing. I would say The Ring is probably a movie that, like, I've seen it before, I rewatched it multiple times, and I probably don't really want to watch it anymore. It doesn't really fit. It's not a bad film, but I also don't see it as a good film either. It has some plot holes and some various other things, like why does Samara's dad why is that scene even in the movie? Other than just to knock her ass into the fucking well, I don't know. And, you know, so it's like, there's things about the movie that are like, okay, this is just some, you know, attempt at edgy art house crap. And that's kind of what The Cell is too. It's an attempt at edgy art house crap. It's not a terrible film, but also it's not that great. A film that I definitely had higher hopes for because of the, like, few scenes that I had seen from it, and then it took forever to download it because, like, and there's a reason why. Mr. Frost with Jeff Goldblum, he does a good job, but the dialogue and everything else in it sucks ass. Because he's basically admitting that he's Satan, but it's just not done well. However, another film that is dialogue oriented, like it's specifically, like there's no action whatsoever. It's literally people in a room talking. 12 Angry Men, great film. Like the original one that's black and white, that's based on the play, phenomenal film. I watched it because I was trying to, you know, like get closer to a girl, and it didn't work out, but because, you know, she saw right through me. But I saw the film, and I'm like, this is a fantastic fucking film. 12 Angry Men, awesome film. And it still has some very poignant messages even to today, which is also part of why it holds up so well. And it's also problematic in that regard. But one of my favorite films is The Man from Earth, which is all dialogue. It's people, like this dude, he's moving, and he's, you know, like, it's a bunch of, like, smart guys. It's a bunch of, you know, professors and the like from this school, and he's leaving the school and everything, and They're kind of there, giving him a bit of a going away party, but at the same time, like, curious as to why. But then they posit certain questions about, like, the possibility of a man living, for 10,000 plus years. And the whole movie is just really, really good. There's, like, one little scene towards the, closer to the end where it's a bit action, but it's not really. And don't even know why a dude brought a gun, but whatever. And then, certain aspects of the film just kind of start, like, compounding onto each other. It's just really well done, and it's emotionally stirring. It even covers religion in a way that is, like, respectful and even kind of tugs at my heartstrings. And I'm not a religious person, but, like, the character who is, like, the sort of hyper-religious character, like, the actress who plays her does such a phenomenal job. And you're going to see all these people and you're like, I know that guy. I know that guy. I know her. I know him. I know her. What the hell? It's a bunch of character actors that do a phenomenal job. Man from Earth, solid 9 out of 10 film. 9.5, really. And, it's like, I like watching films, and not having the internet has given me a little bit of reason to watch them recently. It's just that I also like having something to do while having a thing in the background. It's been a thing for me as far as I can remember, as long as I can remember. When I was younger, I would play video games and have the music playing, and have the radio playing. When I was a little older and I was, like, living in my grandmother's house, I'd be, on the internet, the TV playing or the radio playing or whatever. I mean, I still, to this day, connect things like Static X and Godsmack with EverQuest. Like, literally the reason I got back into playing EverQuest from 2020 until basically this time last year, was because I had listened to some Godsmack music, and it got me thinking about EverQuest. And so I started looking stuff up online, and I saw this guy and his friends playing, P99, Project 1999. I'm going to check to see if I'm still recording. Yeah, okay. Because I know my battery was at, like, 25%. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe try it out. Let's see. And then I spent, 5 years playing it. Four and some change for the most part, with, a couple breaks in there as well. But yeah, it was just like, I got to be playing EverQuest and remembering a lot of stuff about EverQuest, and, not knowing a lot about EverQuest. And, and then the server population started dwindling, and doing that, our guild, fused with another guild, and then it was like, I feel like I've kind of gotten everything that I needed to get, and, more people started moving away from it because, like, the raid scene was becoming just asinine. A lot of people were getting rewarded that shouldn't have been rewarded, very akin to our current political situation right now. The assholes were winning, essentially, when it came to rules and shit. And there were a lot of people who just, when you're dealing with it out in the reality, and you go into a video game, you don't want to deal with that as well. So a lot of people started getting soured over that. Started moving on to different types of EverQuest servers, and then there was a new server that cropped up on the Turtle WoW, and then we jumped ship to the old server that was on Turtle WoW, the one that was very well established, and then of course it got shit canned like last week. And so I've been playing the Ascension, which is the one, specifically the Area 51, where I can choose all my abilities and shit and do whatever the hell I want. And, like, it's a good way to pass the time while, listening to some YouTube YouTube podcasts and the like, or, like a Ragusia video or what have you. And so, it's just like, I do miss the fact that I haven't watched movies, because movies be great. Maybe I could have been whittling a little bit more with, on the soap Toneberries. soap berries. I don't know, during the watching movies. But, you know, it's just like I'm just trying to figure some shit out. Plus, in the last couple of days, I've been needing to clean because of the whole, you know, getting the internet fixed and stuff. How hot is this? It's still warm. Doesn't hurt to touch, though. That's cool. So yeah, it started off smoking. It was towards the end of its smoke session when I started the video. And now it's warm but not hot. And at some point I'm going to eat some more beans in the coming days because I got to, you know, start eating more beans. At some point I got to go to the gym downstairs, take care of that because I got to do my exercises. And since I'm thinking about it, let's maybe dry this off real quick. Just do a couple of squats on the sink. Yeah. One of the things that was like troubling me when I originally did this at the physical therapist's office was that I kept really feeling it in my thighs, in my quads, especially right above my knee. And so he had me, you know, show him how I was doing it, and I was moving my knees too far forward. And so I was putting too much effort into the squat at my knee, and I was hinging there instead of hinging at my waist and my buttocks, getting those things to do the work. So he was like, okay, keep doing it, but let me block your knees. And then I was like, oh, okay, now I'm feeling something different. Like I still feel it in the quads and the hammies and everything, but I'm also feeling it in the back and the buttocks too. So, but yeah, now that I have that option, knowing about it, just trying to force myself into doing the exercise, going downstairs, doing some of the stretches, getting on the elliptical and everything. It's all a bunch of work. So much of life is just work, and I'm already out of breath. Okay, so hot dog's done. What I think I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna take the lid off of the slow cooker, off the Instant Pot, whatever, because it's just a combination of slow cooker and pressure cooker, or it's a pressure cooker with electronics involved and a bit of safety mechanisms and stuff too. And the reason for doing that is so that I can now let all the excess water evaporate, and I might throw in a little bit of broth just to kind of get it a little bit more flavorful. I mean, onions on their own are pretty flavorful when you cook them up though. But yeah, I think I'll do that, and in the process we'll see whatever. But yeah, have fun.